Galloways Support through sight loss. Galloways Talking Tech presents Sam Seavey, The Blind Life.
So, Sam Seavey from The Blind Life, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
All the way from Kentucky, USA. Galloways, we've gone international. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of people that have joined today will already be familiar with the sound of your voice and your image as well. And you haven't got the big beard today, though. You got rid of it.
I trimmed it. Yeah, I trimmed it off. It was really, every time I put on a mask to go out in the public, it was really screwing up the way my beard laid. So I was like, I'm just cutting it off. It'll grow back.
Makes you look 20 years younger, they say, I think.
That's what people, I cut it off and I put a little thing on a picture on Instagram and stuff. And I got so many comments. People were like, wow, it looks great. Oh, so handsome, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, geez, did I look like a total slob before? What's going on here? It's like, so thank you for the compliments.
When you filmed your gear video that you did last week, and you kind of like, you're going, this is my gear, this is my shell, this is my processor, my RAM, this is what I do. And then you cut to the screen bit where you were showing everyone your screen. You were like, I'm really sorry, but yeah, I've shaved or I've got rid of the beard. And it doesn't look right now, the continuity of it. So I thought that was quite funny, but yeah. I've done that as well. Like filming videos and I wasn't wearing that t-shirt yesterday.
I was explaining to my daughter that there are people on film crews that is their entire job, is to take notes and keep track of where every single cup on the table is located between cuts, so nothing changes. And that's why there's always those on like Internet Movie Database, they have the little section that talks about all the things that were messed up, that the continuity errors.
Yeah. I mean, people do pick up on that in films as well, don't they?
Oh yeah, eagle eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those of you that don't know, Sam, would you like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and yeah, where do we start really? I don't know where to start.
Sure. Well, my name is Sam, obviously, and I always talk about my vision story with the air quotes first. So I was diagnosed at age 11 with Stargardt's disease, juvenile form of macular degeneration. So I'm 44 now, so I've lived with it for quite a long time, long enough to learn what works and what doesn't work and figure out all those things. And long story short, a couple years ago, I started working for another YouTube channel called Mobile Tech Videos, and I was making videos about Android phones and Android systems and how to hack your phones and make them really cool and all that. And eventually, for turn of events, I left that job. That was a paying gig to make those videos, and it was around this time that I wanted to see what was available on YouTube for Stargardt's, or talking about Stargardt's, and there wasn't really anything on the site at the time. So I decided to create my own channel, and originally it was called The Blind Spot, which is an homage to my vision impairment, since I don't have any central vision. And eventually, later on, it changed. The name changed to The Blind Life, and so that's December of 2013 is when I started the channel, and so coming up on 7 years later, it's going well.
So the blind spot, because I was thinking about this since I spoke to you last time, and that was like a I think I watched The Blind Spot, which is like a television series. It's pretty good as well.
Oh yeah. There was, and whenever I changed my name, I talked about it, made videos about it, and talked about how I was being forced to change my name because of copyright issues. And a lot of people thought that. They thought there was the TV show coming after me, but it wasn't. It was another company.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Changing your name to The Blind Life kind of has made more about you're helping people with your videos, but it's also a lot about, you know, your experiences as well. So there's kind of a personal element to the subject matter and what you do on the channel, isn't there? Which I think comes across.
Yeah. It was a hard thing to do at the time because this was like 5 years. The Blind Spot was my baby, and I'd grown her up and, you know, and nurtured her and all that. And so I didn't want to change the name. But in retrospect, hindsight, it wasn't a big deal at all. And like you said, I think The Blind Life kind of fits a little bit better because that's what the channel is about. It's a little cheesy, but I say that the channel is about his blind life. It's about her blind life. It's about it's my blind life. It's everybody's blind life. So it kind of fits better, I think.
Andrew, you're muted.
Yeah, I think we lost Andrew.
Yeah, I'm back again. I don't know.
There we go.
I'm never going to get rid of that now. Everyone's going to remember when I muted myself. Never going to get rid of that. We've been waiting for you to do that forever, Andrew. No, we were talking then about you know, the channel, The Blind Life. You as an assistive technology coordinator. When I first started kind of doing assistive technology and looking at stuff on YouTube, it was you that always used to pop up first. You know, so I Google something or look someone up on YouTube, and there would be a video by you about a particular thing, and I think, you know, one of them was like the Sunu band and stuff like that, and you just done some really detailed videos that really let people into what the product's all about, but how it can work for them as well. Where do you start really? A YouTuber like yourself, what's your schedule? How do you fit it all in? Because it's a lot of work, isn't it, doing all this type of stuff?
It is, and it's very funny that you say that because I joke and say, well, I have over 560, maybe now 570 videos on my channel, and I say it's like you don't have to be good at something as long as you just completely saturate the market, so where nobody can go anywhere without seeing your face pop up. Now, but it's not easy, and I think we talked about this on our original call that. A lot of people, they say they want to get into YouTube and they want to make videos and they want to become famous and all that, internet famous, and but they don't realize how much work it is. It is, you know, it can be a full-time job even more. I still have a part-time job. I have a family. You know, I have 2 kids and a wife and a dog, and so I that time is important to me too. So it's difficult to squeeze YouTube in. My schedule is I upload on Saturday mornings. That's my current schedule. So that gives me the first half of the week. I spend mostly at my job, and then maybe do an hour or 2 every day for YouTube. And then the second half of the week, so like Thursday and Friday, are dedicated completely to YouTube. So like today, I've already recorded all my video for this week. So today and tomorrow we'll be editing and upload Saturday morning. And that way, and I actually schedule my post Friday, so I don't have to do anything Saturday. It just automatically uploads. And that gives me the weekend to spend with the family, you know, just like a normal 9 to 5 job, because that's important. So it is a lot of work. And I think we also talked about how it's a lot of work, and then throwing in low vision to that just kind of compounds all the issues and makes everything take 2 or 3 times as long.
Have you done it again, Andrew?
And we're recording this one too, so you guys have proof of this happening.
Sam,
Andrew, you're muted again.
Sam, while waiting for Andrew to come back, can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
I'll ask after Andrew's back. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
Go on, James. Go for it.
It was just a case, when you first started out with your YouTube, how do you end up getting more and more subscribers? Because I'm trying to set up one myself, and that's one thing I'm struggling with. So.
Well, for the thing about YouTube is it's exponential growth. So the more you're on there, the more you put out, the faster it grows. But it is definitely a trickle at the beginning. I have friends that have been on YouTube for years, and they're still only like maybe 1,000 subscribers or something like that. But if like for me doing assistive technology videos, I would make a video and then I would share that on different Facebook groups. And or if I was making a video about a particular product, I would reach out to the company and say, hey, I made this video, please feel free to share it if you'd like, and things like that. And maybe I'd get lucky, they'd put it on their website or something. So it's all about marketing, really. Just like anything in life, you got to get your face out there and get your stuff out there. But yeah, putting it on Twitter, hashtagging the person or the theme or something like that it's about. Then if people are searching for that, they'll stumble across your video. All of that helps. I mean, and then YouTube has all of their own little things to deal with their algorithm, where you've got to put the keywords in the title. Then you also have to put the keywords in the description. It's great if you have text on your thumbnail and have keywords in the text on your thumbnail. It's like crazy stuff that you can tweak. You can go crazy trying to wrap your head around all of these little things you can do to improve your chances on YouTube. But basically, like I said, just getting the information out there to as many people as possible, and be patient, because it takes a while. That's for sure.
What about you? You said only 1,000 subscribers. That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, it does. It does. I'm
20. So.
Well, and I have a hard time of comparing myself to others on YouTube, and it's like, it drives me crazy when these people have been on for. I started in 2018 and I've got 1.5 million subscribers. It's like, I've been working at this for like 7 years, and but I'm very thankful for every single one of my subscribers.
I suppose the audience is always going to be smaller in terms, and then if you proportion that and you look at how many subscribers you've got, figuring the type of kind of content you provide, and it is a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's another key. It depends on your niche. If I'm in low vision assistive technology, that's not a very large niche on YouTube. If I were a video gaming channel or a beauty channel, I would be able to grow a lot faster. But I'm, like I said, I'm very, very thankful for my 22 point whatever thousand subscribers.
Absolutely brilliant. And you do work in assistive technology as well there, I see as well. So you do support people as well is that on a part-time basis? Well, a little bit like me, I suppose.
Well, I did formally, but I was an AT trainer for about 4 years at a nonprofit here in Lexington. And that was great. I loved that. I loved working with the clients and meeting with people every day. And as I'm sure you can agree, that there's no better feeling than someone coming into your office. I worked with a lot of seniors and losing vision later in life, age-related macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, things like that. And they've spent their whole life with vision, and all of a sudden they don't have it. So they're very depressed and just, my life is over kind of mentality. And then throughout the course of that first meeting, that first appointment, they realize all the things that are available, all the possibilities, and then they leave that afternoon or that meeting just a wholly, completely different mentality and mindset that, I can do all the things I want to do. It's just, I've got to do it a little bit differently than previously. But I love that. It was great.
It's a good point, because it's kind of, you have to, before you can learn things, you have to kind of know what are the solutions first before you decide to go with them. And it's kind of like what a lot of the guys on the call today have been on. What we run something called a Living with Sight Loss course, and people have been on that. And we do a tech session, and it's like an hour or 2 hours, but even an hour or 2 hours, we kind of blow people's minds with all the things that are available. And they go home and they come back. I can't remember everything you talked about, but that particular app, that sounded good. Be My Eyes or your seeing AI or whatever, that sounded good. And then the learning process begins. And I think it's breaking those barriers down to say to people, yes, you can do that. You know, you can make something accessible. Mainstream technology is a big thing, which is what you cover, a lot of mainstream technology, which I think is really important. Like your video that you've done recently regarding the 2024 Windows update and some of the new features and the low vision features that are built in there. A lot of people don't know that you can do that to a Windows computer, or you can do it to a smartphone or a tablet. They don't know that. So how have you found that reaction on YouTube? And a lot of people will stumble across your channel that maybe didn't know that those things existed.
Yeah. It's been great, and that's one of the the things that keeps me going. And that's one of the main purposes of the channel, is to get that information out there, because it's probably similar there in the UK as it is here, where there's a lot of people that live rurally and they don't have access to a low vision center or one of these organizations, national organizations and conventions to learn about the technology that's available to them. So if they can come on to YouTube and watch one of my videos and learn about it, and it helps them out, I think that's fantastic. I get a lot of those. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know it could do this. Comments. It's funny though, talking about just mainstream consumer electronics. I made a couple of videos talking about the accessibility on the Xbox One gaming system, Microsoft Xbox One. And one of them is the magnifier. So Windows magnifier is built into the Xbox. And so you can zoom into your screen and move it around and all that. And it's been a game, no pun intended, it's been a game changer for me. Playing video games, I can just, if I need to read something, I can just pause it and zoom in and read it. So I made a video about that. And I constantly, the most comments I get on that video still, it's been like 2 years, still today, is from people that accidentally turned it on and thought their system was broken. And they send me comments like, "Oh, thank you so much, man. I thought my controller was broken. Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah, that's so funny, because I think that's something that I've done from time to time. If someone said, "Hey, Andy, can you help me with my phone?" and I'll go and use the Zoom function, and I'm not.
It's talking too fast.
Yeah, and I get home, and then they open it and say, "Andy, what have you done to my phone? I can only see one word on the screen." Oh, okay. If you triple tap with 3 fingers, that'll switch it off. And I always remember a brilliant story. And sometimes, that is a positive thing, because it helps people learn as well. And I remember hearing a story from someone at a conference where they went into an Apple store and they just switched voiceover on every single device on the table.
I've done that.
And walked out, and it was just pandemonium. And then they wrote to the manager of the store and said, "Look, this is what I did. And they were like, the manager of the store was like, yes, it was absolutely pandemonium. Thank you for doing that. But it really, really brought everything back to our staff about the inclusiveness and how we make technology accessible. And, because some of the guys in the store that were new, they weren't so au fait with this. And suddenly, I'm going to switch it off. What do I do with it? So, yeah, it's a brilliant thing to do. And I think you're probably like me in terms of, when we meet people, we like to sometimes show off a little bit, don't we? I say, I can make my phone talk, And
oh, yeah.
people are amazed that you can do those things with an iPhone or with an Android device or your PC, I didn't even know that about the Xbox One, because I fell out of gaming a long time ago because of my vision,
Yeah.
So kind of like moved away from it. So I'm gonna have to go and watch that video now, and probably gonna get. My wife's probably cursing me now, because she's probably thinking he's going to end up buying an Xbox One now because it can be accessible. So I'm going to have to go and look at that. But that is the key thing, isn't it? It's kind of technology is getting so much more accessible nowadays, because everything is kind of, certainly with Android, Windows, Mac, Chrome, everything is, the access is getting a lot better there, to the point where I've switched off my JAWS this week on my Windows PC, and I've just gone with Narrator. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go with Windows Narrator, see how that goes. And you know what, if you're just checking your emails, going on the web, going on Zoom, doing bits and bobs, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? And I think we need to say to people, you don't have to go out there and spend hundreds and thousands of pounds on software, try the free stuff first.
Yeah, you might get lucky, and they've done a lot to narrator. I still, like you said, it's still not where it needs to be. I'll just say that, but they've done a lot to it and improved it a lot, and especially as an AT trainer or someone that works with clients, that's a good idea every now and then to just keep your skills up on these other devices and try using them for a little while. Side note, while you were talking about the Apple Store, that's totally might have to be a new video for me, like a candid go in there and just record from the distance.
You do a really good job doing that. Don't forget to fly me out there. I'll come out to Kentucky and we'll both
all right
together.
there you go. Collaboration.
Sounds like a great idea. So, for people watching your channel, Sam, because we've got quite a lot of people on here that won't have seen your channel before, and I've posted that in the chat area, the link to Sam's YouTube channel. But you can go on YouTube or Google, just type in The Blind Life and up Sam will pop. And you've got hours and hours and hours and hours of content to get through. But what can people expect from your channel if they're new, Sam?
So it's a well, if you go back, if you dig deep into the history of the channel, it was kind of a hodgepodge at the beginning. I was just whatever I had an idea about making a video, I just did it. There was no real direction, but right now, the heavy focus on assistive technology, accessibility, things like the advocacy. I've got a lot of videos about using your cane. I'm a huge advocate of using your cane, encouraging people to, especially people like myself who are low vision. We're riding the fence between the blind world and the sighted world, 1 foot in each world, and so it can be daunting, I guess, to start to use that cane and really commit to one side or the other. But I got tons of videos talking about the benefits of using the cane and how it vastly outweighs the negatives. But I've got a lot of, so that's part of the life. I like to make videos about the life side of the blind life. And so that would be one of those topics. I've got a whole series called Why It Sucks to Be Blind. I haven't made one of those in a while, but it's kind of the lighter side of it. I don't focus on the negative on my channel, and I've been criticized about that before. They say, well, you only talk about the good stuff. You don't talk about the negative stuff. And my answer is, yeah, absolutely. Nobody wants to go on YouTube and watch depressing negative stuff. We all live the negative every day. You don't need to hear me talk about it. Let's talk about the positive. And so kind of the Sucks to Be Blind series is kind of an homage to that. And it'll be like reason number 43, why it sucks to be blind. And it's just random stuff that I come up with. One of them was playing the low vision lottery, where we play it every day, even if you don't realize it. You're playing the low vision lottery every single day. The example I gave in the video was, like I said, I have a dog, and at the time I had cats, and so you come downstairs and you see something dark on the floor. Yeah. Yeah. And you can't see well enough to know exactly what it is, but you have pets. It's like, okay, I've got to investigate and find out what that is, but do I want to? There's a chance that it might be something nasty. And so you've got to play that. You've got to roll the dice and play the low vision lottery and reach down and touch it. So things like that, or coming out, someone's picking you up at the store and you come out and there's 6 cars parked in front of the store. It's like, okay. Let's try and figure out which car is the one I'm trying to find. I got to play the lottery again and hope I don't jump into a stranger's car, which I think we've all done before.
Yeah.
So
and you can go to extra measures not to play the lottery if you want to. But sometimes it's fun to play the lottery. Just take a dip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I got those. I've got family-related videos. I've got interviews with both my kids, both my nephews, because my sister has Stargardt's as well. So talking to those kids about growing up with visually impaired parents, what that was like. I've got a whole series called Couples Q&A that I did with my wife, where we talk about dating a blind person, marriage, house life, driving, doing the chores, who does this, who does what, that sort of thing. I got a lot of questions about that over the years. So we made that series, and that's been pretty popular. Interviews with amazing blind people. I've done interviews with in collaboration videos with a lot of blind YouTubers, blind people in professions. I went down to Florida to take a tour of the Orbis Flying Eye Hospital, which is, if you're not familiar, it's a giant jumbo jet airplane that is decked out as an eye clinic, an eye hospital.
Oh, wow.
And they fly it to, it's a nonprofit, they fly it to third world countries and park it for a couple of weeks and then just do like as much eye care in the area as possible, free to everybody. And then they'll fly it to another part of the world. So I got a chance to go down there and take a tour of that, and it was just an amazing, really cool experience. So just all kinds of things. And then sometimes it might just be a vlog style where I'm talking to my dog. It's it's just random.
I think what a lot of us enjoy is the tech side of things, and your reviews on technology, and the way you kind of put that across. It really comes over really well, and you make it easy to understand. A lot of YouTubers out there, they're really geeky and techie. You apologize for being geeky and techie, but there's a lot of people out there that are really geeky, techie. You make it easy to understand, and I think that's what comes across really well in your videos as well, is that it's easy for people just to dive in.
Yeah, well, I think I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that comes a lot from the being a trainer for so many years. You have to put it into layman's terms, or put it in a way that the person can understand it, not get too technical. I mean, I can get technical if people want me to. Like that video talking about my computer, I'm like, they want me to be technical, so I'm sorry, it's going to be technical. But I don't want to. Coming from a trainer point of view, also, I'm not like blinded, pun intended. I'm not like blinded by the coolness of the device. It could be the coolest thing in the world, but I'm still going to look at it with a critical eye. Is this going to work? What's good about it? What's not good about it? What's ridiculous? Like I said, I've lived with vision impairments so long that I know what doesn't work and what's garbage. And I'm not going to. I have a disclaimer in my description, or in information that I send out to companies, and it says, even if you're going to sponsor this video, even if I'm getting paid for this, I'm going to be honest, and you have to be okay with that. If you're not okay with that, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Because I've got a responsibility to the viewers more than the company, and the companies respect that. I think it's like if you know your product is garbage, then you need to go back to the drawing board and work on that. Don't get mad at me if I point it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a tendency sometimes that if you've been sent a piece of kit to review, that you just want to do all the compliments and just give it a full. But sometimes, you do have to be critical, and that's what makes the channel. How do you? I mean, one thing that I was wondering, just a more personal question. And I think James as well, because James, who asked you the question before, does a lot of filming. How do you, because filming as a visual impaired person is quite tricky. I mean, let's admit it, it is, right, isn't it? Yeah. And when you do the filming on your own, how do you, I suppose you have a technique, you're used to filming in the same kind of environments, but it's more tricky when you go out and about somewhere and you've got to film yourself or vlog. That must be quite tricky because I've always found it tricky being visually impaired doing that. Yeah,
I do. I've got. I'm a big fan of systems, creating systems. And I talk about this in videos that we all do systems as VIPs. We have systems, and we probably don't even realize it. Your toothpaste, you always put it back in the exact same spot or your favorite coffee cup. And you tell your family, oh yeah, this cup needs to go right here because I need to be able to find it when I want it. I don't want to have to go searching all over the kitchen for it. So that's my system. So I have systems for recording as well. I have a wide angle lens, and so I record extra wide so that when I'm on my computer and I'm on my big 40-inch monitor and I'm zoomed in, I can crop that image in to where I'm centered or where I want to be, where I intended to be originally for the composition. So that's one of them. I actually made a video recently talking about how to create a YouTube channel with low vision, and I talk about all of these little tips and tricks. I've got a new setup in my studio, my YouTube studio, which is fancy word or fancy name for my guest bedroom. That I've got a mount on a desk, a camera mount on a desk, so that I can just put the camera back in there and it's already pointed right at me. That doesn't move at all. I don't have to worry about it. My light is always there. I just turn it on and I can sit down and I'm ready to go. And then I've got a large 32-inch HD TV right next to me that the camera is connected to. So I can, with my peripheral, once again, Stargarts, I don't have central, so I use my peripheral for everything. I can keep track of myself on that monitor while I'm still looking in the direction of the camera anyway. So in that controlled system, everything works. But like you said, I go out and I want to vlog at a convention or something. It's a nightmare. And oftentimes those videos, maybe you're staring at most of my beard and my head, top half of my head's cut off, or vice versa, that you're looking just at my eyes and my giant forehead. But that's okay. You know, once again, I don't sweat it because I know my audience. My audience is going to understand. Most of my audience probably can't see the TV anyway. They're just listening. So it's more about the content. You know, I'm not worried about how good I look in those situations. But you know, there's all kinds. I really rely heavily on autofocus. If I'm recording with like my iPhone, I can use VoiceOver and it will tell me if I'm centered in the screen. Yeah. But here's a little tip for everybody. If you're going to do that, you still need to angle it down just a little bit, because if you record with your face right in the center of the screen, you're going to have a ton of space above you. In the videography world, it's called negative space, and it's a no-no. So just tilt it down just ever so much.
Yeah. Brilliant. And but before we open the floor up, because I know the people have got a lot of questions they probably want to ask you, and I've had my fair share of questions. One thing that we haven't talked about is your t-shirts. Now,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the t-shirts are great.
I should have worn one. I'm not doing a good job of promoting myself.
The t-shirts are absolutely brilliant. Tell us about some of the slogans on your t-shirts, because the t-shirts are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, well, I'm naturally a very sarcastic person, and I really have to rein it in when I'm on video. I would be a lot worse. Drives my family crazy. But so a lot of my t-shirts kind of in that theme. And it's all about vision, low vision, no vision. I've got t-shirts about guide dogs, guide dog users, cane users. I've got my most popular one though says, I can see, but I can't, hashtag it's complicated. And it sums it up perfectly for anybody like myself with low vision, where if you just saw us walking around, you wouldn't be able to tell that we have any kind of vision impairment. But if you ask me to find something, I'm gonna be like, I don't know, I've got a clue, I can't see anything. So the shirt just says that. I've got a shirt that I love and I wear all the time, and it says designated driver. And I love wearing that out to a party, and I've got my cane, you know, and I'm drinking, and I'm like, I've got some, like I said, guide dog ones. This is my dog's smarter than yours. I've got one that says my blind spot is bigger than yours, you know, just things like that. I've got tons, and I sell them on Amazon, and I sell them now on Teespring. So if you, links in the description of all of my videos, and even now Teespring has my shirts showing up on my YouTube channel and underneath all my videos. So
that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's a great fun way of looking at things, and it's kind of like just throwing it back out there, isn't it? You know, I like it with a bit of attitude. I quite like that.
Well, it's part of the whole philosophy. It's like I spent I was diagnosed at age 11. I was probably in my 30s before I fully accepted that I'm visually impaired. I'm different than most other people, and that's okay. I was wasting too much time trying to fake it, trying to be sighted, quote unquote sighted, fully sighted. And I just there's no reason to be ashamed of it. It's, you know, so embrace it. live it, live the life, like live your best blind life. That's what it says on my new website coming very soon.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Right. So basically keep tuned. I mean, there's plenty more content coming out, and we'll look forward to watching that. You know, and I think we've definitely got some questions to come up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for unmuting everyone, I think, because it's the easiest thing for me to do, is unmute everyone.
I got a question.
I think we've got a question from Mahmood, I think, had a question there that he wanted to ask. So I'll just unmute everybody. And I think everybody's back in the game. Go for it, Mahmood.
He's muted.
Is he muted? Let's have a little.
Hi,
excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yep. Go for it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm sorry my internet connection was not good, so I had to disconnect from my Zoom app. Then now I came from telephone. My name is Muhammad Kareem, and my question is, as you were talking about, you have YouTube channel about Android phone, yeah. So
yes.
you are also working on Apple phone or not? Do you have channel about iPhone or not?
I don't have a dedicated channel, but I use both Android and iPhone. I use iPhone for my personal phone and Android for my work phone, and that's just so that I can kind of keep up to date with the accessibility on both, so I can be a better trainer and all that. So I have plenty of videos on both. In fact, I have playlists for both Android operating system and iOS.
On same channel?
Yes, on my Blind Life channel.
Blind Life channel, yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
If you're using your stick and people get in the way of your stick and you can't see, what is the best way to avoid that?
I don't think there is a best way. I think you just start whacking people in the ankles. I do that too. You know, sometimes I even see the people, and it's like, you know what this is. You know what I'm holding. You know what this means. You know, I can't see you. I see him like right at the last second, and it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna bump into you because you chose not to get out of the way. It happens a lot in airports. I travel a lot for my job and everything, and people they're just rushing and they're not paying attention. I've had people jump over the cane. I've had people kick it out of my hands. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it is. Doesn't happen too often, though, thankfully.
They're not good,
I've had a lot of that just in the streets, like kicking it out from under you, kicking it off, crossing the road.
We've got a good question here from someone that says, just going through some of the questions that are coming in. What is the piece of tech you wouldn't be without, Sam?
You know, it's low tech, but it's still a goodie right here in my pocket. I've got it with me all the time. It's my little 12 times magnifier, just a little pocket magnifier. It's not even illuminated. It's just a little pocket Eschenbach magnifier. But that, and then probably my smartphone. I do so much with my smartphone. You know, I use it to read with the apps. I use it to, if I need to see something, if I need to change the thermostat in my hotel, I'll take a picture of it and zoom in. You know, if I need to find my way, I'll pull up an app. Probably the smartphone. I would be pretty sad without that.
That's the one, yeah. Absolutely.
Sam.
Yes.
Has anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, well, I have, Andrew. It's James, one of Andrew's co-workers. You were saying about filming outside with wide-angle lenses, and Andrew said I do a lot of filming myself. One thing I've found is really useful is using a GoPro at something like 2.7K resolution, and then when you get to your computer, you can crop it down to 1080, so it gives you the extra that you can reframe. I found that a lot.
Yeah, I've actually got a video coming out this weekend. The one I'm working on today is of a brand new cane, which is going to be pretty cool. And I did a lot of GoPro footage. I had it strapped to my chest and pointing down, so to see myself walking with the cane and testing it out. So, yeah, I love the GoPro. I'll set that up as like a second, like a B camera, just to get some different, interesting shots. You know.
Yeah, I do the same sort of thing with my video.
Okay. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So what is the best cane for any blind person who has no vision, totally blind, fully blind, yeah? So what is the best cane to use it, like as my height is 5 feet 8 inches, yeah? So what is the best cane to use it for me?
I don't know. There isn't really a best cane. It's really whatever is the best cane for you personally. So you can, some people prefer graphite canes. Some people prefer aluminum. You mainly just want to size it correctly for you. If you don't have any usable vision and you're going to be using this for navigation, you probably want a little bit longer cane. But I mean, once again, that's even subjective. Everybody's different. But find a cane that works the best for you as far as the height, the length. Find the tip that's going to work the best for you for your situation. When I traveled to the Czech Republic last year for my job, I made the mistake of taking a pencil tip and a little metal tip, and the pencil tip did not even last one day on those cobblestones. It broke right off. If I had known better, I would have taken like a ball, like a rolling tip. That would have been much better. But
yeah.
So it just depends.
Sorry to interrupt you. It's the cane. One is rolling cane, one is ball cane. So what is the best?
Well, like I said, it's there. Once again, there isn't a best. It's just dependent on what you need it for. If you're going to be traveling on sidewalks and streets and things like that, you might want a rolling cane. If you're going to be there's marshmallow tips, there's rolling tips. I would just do some research. I bet Galloways could probably help you figure out one of those.
Right.
I will ask Andrew and he will let me know.
We've got a message here. Site Support just subscribed to your channel. That's a local organisation in.
Oh, awesome! Thank you very much.
Right. You reach out to so many. You're always reliable. Your video. I always watch your video on TV, and you're my first call to find support, and that's Denise.
Yes.
Why was your first call for support?
No. When I was in a really dark place, Sam Seavey was the first person I sort of met who had central vision loss. And I watched the video on his channel. This is how I watch TV. When he's led on his bed with this massive TV, and that prompted me to find help. So there you go.
There's no competition here, Andrew. She's in your channel. She's on Sam's. She comes to mine.
Yeah, but no. And why I like Sam is because he is so relatable. And because he's visually impaired, you get that feeling. He understands. So there you go.
Wow, that's very funny. I forgot about that video. That's one of those ridiculous videos where I was like, let's just do it. I have every now and then I'll come up with an idea that I think nobody's going to care about, but I'll just make it anyway because it's always better to get the content out there even if nobody watches it. And one of those videos was how a visually impaired person brushes their teeth, and This started as a conversation I had with my former boss, and we were just talking about it. And I said, I told her how I brush my teeth. I just squirt the toothpaste right in my mouth. And she said, I do that too. And so I was like, I'll make a video about it. And I've had so many positive comments about that. I had somebody comment and said, oh, you saved my life. Showing me how to do this. Like, I don't know if I saved your life, but I'm glad you got something out of it, But
So Sam, is it all right if I upgrade my 60-inch television to a 75-inch? Would you approve of that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, your wife's really going to email
me. He's listening as we speak.
Yeah. I'm listening. Yeah, I'm listening. We'll have words after this Zoom. Sure.
Sam, can I ask you?
Go on,
Denise. Yeah.
Have you tried the We Walk cane, and what do you think?
Great question. Yeah,
I've tried it. I've got one upstairs in my office. In fact, if you search We Walk on YouTube, my video is the first one that pops up. I thought it was, it's cool. It's a cool idea to make a smart cane. There's some issues with it that I found. One of which being it's not waterproof. It's like they don't want you to take it out into the rain, or God forbid you like drop it down a flight of stairs. It's going to be destroyed. So these things that happen to canes all the time. And then it's a little bulky. There was some the voice was kind of stuttery and it broke up several times while I was trying to use it. But overall, I'm not a mobility cane user, so I'm not the best to really comment on how well it works for that. My whole thing is I look at the product and I try to point out the pros and cons, and then I leave it up to the viewer, the consumer, to make the decision to buy it or not. So for me personally, I wouldn't use it, but somebody might.
Thanks, Sam.
Got a question from Stephen Walker, who is one of our rehabilitation officers.
Sure.
And he's just asking you about, do you use other technology, including kind of technology around the kitchen? So stuff that you'd use in the kitchen, or do you just focus on specific technology? I think you've done some kitchen stuff, I would have thought.
I have, yeah. I've done videos on the pouring electronic pour detectors. I forget what the name is. Where it'll be
indicator.
Liquid level. Thank you. I've been out of the game too long, out of the AT training game. Yeah, I've done videos about those. I've done videos about my favorite tools that I use all the time, and it's so simple. Is I've got a talking scale, kitchen scale, and I've got a talking kitchen thermometer, and I couldn't cook dinner without those things. I use, especially the thermometer, anytime I'm cooking chicken or hamburgers or anything, I use the thermometer. And just because I can't guarantee, so many times I've cut a piece of chicken in half and then I take it over to my wife. It's like, you see any pink in this? It's like, if I can just stick the thermometer in there, it solves all the problems. So I love those things.
Absolutely.
I am thinking of
brilliant. Somebody else have a question?
Yes, I was going to raise something, Andrew.
Go for it, David.
Yeah, because we all have to social distance now because of this pandemic. Have you come across anything that helps people keep that distance? Because I've got blind friends who can't tell, how far away they are from somebody else.
Yeah, that's a tough one right now. And I've done, I did a collaboration with another visually impaired YouTube channel and we talked about that and how difficult it is right now, because you go into any store and there's signs all over the place instructing people what to do. And and it's like, I can't read any of these signs. The local grocery store here, for a long time, I think they've kind of relaxed it, but they had, you could only go in one person per household at a time. And I'm like, how do I know that if I just walk right up and I just start going in and, so it's really difficult. Or going up to a line and you don't realize how close you are to that person. Unfortunately, I haven't come across any good solutions to that. I think it's hopefully people around will be nice and help you and point these things out to you and stuff. I just being an advocate.
Come in handy.
That's right.
If anybody's chosen, if anybody's used the Sunu band for it, because that'll pick up objects if you set it right.
Right. Sunu band and the buzz clip, you can set those to a certain distance. Yeah.
I was just going to intervene there and just mention about I was talking to a guy we've got on next week called Robin Spinks, and he's from the RNIB. And he was telling me yesterday about an app called Welcome that's being worked on at the moment, where you would have an app on your phone and you'd register for the app, and it would have all your details in there, Sam, about your disability and what kind of access needs you've got. And then when you walk into any provider that uses the welcome service, as soon as you walk into their building, they would be notified that say, like me, for example, Andrew Coleman just walked in to, I don't know, the Radisson Hotel, or I don't know, Tesco's or wherever, and he's got these particular needs, and it's got a picture of me, and the staff then can basically introduce themselves to you, and I know that's something that is.
Andrew, talk.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I've got a question, Andrew.
That sounds pretty cool. I'm such a, like I said, I'm so sarcastic that in my head I picture back in the office somewhere, these red lights start flashing and a siren goes off, and we've got a blind guy in the blind guy just walked in. Hurry, hurry, hurry!
Yeah, security system going off.
Yeah, I just had a quick question as well.
Sure.
Yeah, hi Sam. Yeah, I was just wondering for the future, is there any piece of technology that you're looking forward to that might be coming out soon, or maybe something that hasn't been invented yet but that would be interesting?
Sam?
Yeah.
I've got a question which I'm a bit scared to ask, but this is the situation in my life at the minute.
Well, hang on. Let me answer that first question real quick. Upcoming technology, there's a company in Israel that's working on robotics to help with blind and visually impaired. And I'm not going to go into too much because they haven't really fully come out yet into the public space talking about it yet. But it looks kind of interesting. It's very futuristic, and it's going to definitely raise debates whether it's needed and all that. But that's going to be kind of cool. There's talk about some prosthetic eye from Hong Kong that should be ready in like 5 years. Wow. So that's we'll see about that. I'm still waiting for flying cars. We've been promised that since the 80s, so we'll see.
What about robotic guide dogs? Is that actually going to happen?
Well, that's kind of the company I'm talking about. I didn't spill the beans, so no one can blame me. But yeah, we'll know more. Actually, I wanted to mention that I'll come back to your question there, but I wanted to mention that I've got I'm on the planning committee for a new assistive technology conference that's going to be happening in October 1st and October 2nd, and it's called ATTOC, the Assistive Technology and Trends Online Conference. I made a video recently talking about it. Everybody, it's international, so anybody can join. It's going to be a conference, so there's going to be, and it's all about vision-related assistive technology. If you're a professional, you can get your continuing education credits through this event. So keep an eye out on my channel and all that for more information on that. But we'll be talking about all this upcoming assistive technology at that conference.
Well, thank you very much, Sam, and that's really helped. And your videos have been really, really helpful. Thank you very much. It's my mood.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sam, I've only just heard about you.
Oh, okay.
And, I've got this question which I'm a bit scared to ask, but at the moment I'm using a Samsung Android phone, and it's got a physical home button at the bottom. And I'm looking for a new phone because it's full and it's slow. It's 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I want to stick to Samsung, and the new Samsung phones, they're not doing physical home buttons at the moment.
Right.
Are there any phones that you can suggest?
Oh, I use the Samsung Galaxy S10, the 10 Plus, and I've been very, very happy with it. They took the home button, it's swipe gesture now, which if you're in TalkBack, if you're using TalkBack, it's still intuitive. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it does work. And to the shortcut for turning on TalkBack or Voice Assistant, you can set it to just sing the power and the volume up at the same time. And then you can set the other voice assistant or the voice screen reader to holding down both volume up and volume down at the same time. So you have 2 ways to turn it on and off. And it works really well. I've been very happy, and they just updated TalkBack recently, and it's doing pretty well. So I would recommend staying with Samsung, especially if you do have low vision and you need some of that. Samsung has really good low vision accessibility, much more than just stock Android. You can make your fonts much bigger. You can do the dark mode. You can do, you can change a lot. They give you a lot more flexibility, customizing flexibility. So
is the S10 better than the A41?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is the S10 better than the A41?
Yeah. The S10 is one of their flagships, and the A4 or whatever is kind of one of their mid-range.
Right.
But because the S10, now that they got the S20 and they're coming out with the newest one, the S10 is not too expensive right now. It's about the same price as one of their mid-tier ones. You can get one used. I got mine used for not too much, like a couple $100. So.
Hey Sam, I'm back in the room. I'm to get back in.
They've kind of gotten rid of the physical button on most phones. I mean, you may be able to find some of these Chinese phones like Huawei or.
I'm not getting Chinese.
I like them. They're actually pretty. I'm trying to get a hold of Huawei to send me one of their phones to test out the accessibility.
Apologies about that, Sam. I just disappeared there. All our internet access has gone down.
No worries.
So I don't know what's happened. So I'm on the mobile. So I don't know whether you caught my comments regarding I was talking about the Welcome app.
Yep.
Where
I heard it.
Did you get that?
Yeah, and I was saying that in my sarcastic brain, I pictured a bunch of alarms and flashing red lights in an office somewhere as soon as you walk in. But no, that could probably be pretty helpful, yeah.
Good work, I know, yeah.
Blind alert.
Absolutely. I bet all these things, I mean, hopefully eventually, might help. I suppose if it was done in the right way and it wasn't made obvious and it was, you walk in, you get a notification on your phone that says, just stay where you are. someone is coming to help you. There are There are certain lanyards as well. My wife was just telling me about a lanyard that you can get in this country, which will highlight to people again that can you socially distance? Help me social distance because I can't see.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So it depends how comfortable you are as a visual impaired person, using something like that as well, because some of us don't want to kind of, ring the alarm bells. We'd rather just kind of get on with our lives as quietly as possible.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those things.
Oh, sorry.
Isn't it?
I've got a question for you.
Has anybody got any more questions? Because I know we're near time. We'll have a couple more.
Yeah, I think we have some more.
I've got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
A question. If you're on an aircraft and you can't allocate your seat, what is the best way of doing that without being rude?
If you're on an aircraft, to find your seat, you said?
Yeah. In the aircraft, if you can't find your seat, what is the best way without being rude to anybody?
Well, I actually made a video talking about independent travel for the visually impaired. That's the name of it. You can search for it. And I once again, I had my GoPro and I had it on my chest for one of my trips, and I documented the entire process. And I talk about my systems that I use whenever I travel on airplanes and anything. And one of them is, and it's the way it is in the U.S., I'm assuming it's the same in Europe, is that we can do pre-boarding. So we can get on the airplane before anybody else does. And I always ask for that. I'm a big advocate for my vision impairment. I tell people they need to be advocates for themselves, an ambassador for your vision impairment. And so I let them know I'd like to pre-board. I need help finding my gates, and I also want to pre-board. And you can, of course, do this really nicely. You don't have to be rude, but They get you on the plane first. Whenever I get on, sometimes they'll help me down to it. Sometimes I don't need help. And when I get to the plane, I'll ask the flight attendant. I say, I'm sorry, I can't see my seat number. Would you mind helping me find my seat? And then they find it for me. Before she or he leaves, I ask them to get the lay of the land, the lay of the airplane. Like, how far away is the restroom? Is it at the front of or the back of the plane? How many seats am I away from that? Is it on the left side? Is it on the right side? That sort of thing. And then I also always try to ask for an aisle seat, because that way, if I do have to get up to use the bathroom, I'm not trying to squeeze past somebody and accidentally sticking my hand in their face or something when I can't see where I'm putting my hands and that sort of thing. And I also, the other benefit of having the aisle seat is that when I come back, when I go to the restroom, I try to count rows so that I can count those rows back when I come back. But I'm also more likely to see that empty seat or notice that empty seat and know that that's my seat. Also, if I have like a bright colored coat, or I'll leave my cane in the seat, I'll put the coat in the seat, or I'll leave my cane in the seat. And that helps too. I'll notice that when I come back, and I'll know that that's my seat. So there's little tricks, little tips. There's tricks for in the airport. There's tricks for in the airplane. So I recommend identifying your luggage. I recommend checking out that video.
The cane actually really helps, doesn't it? Get through the
Sam,
security quickly, which is great as well.
Yeah.
Sam, can I quickly ask you one question?
Sure.
If you was to give one tip to anybody new to sight loss, what would it be?
My good question.
Yeah, probably my most important motto of the channel is it's going to be okay, right? That's my biggest message that I try to get across to people. Yes, it's difficult, especially if you're new, especially if you've spent your whole life with normal vision, or I shouldn't say normal, perfect vision, and then all of a sudden you lose your sight. It's going to be okay. It's hard, yes, but you're going to adapt. You're going to learn new techniques. You're going to learn how to do all these things that you want to do. But it's going to be difficult. And reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out to people to get help. Organizations, low vision centers, use your cane, get your cane training. Don't be afraid to live your life as a visually impaired person. Definitely don't spend your whole life sitting in your room feeling sorry for yourself. Get out there and enjoy, live your best blind life, right?
Thank you very much for that answer, Sam.
You're welcome.
It's a cracking one.
Thank you, Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Some great stuff there.
Hey, Sam.
Yeah.
I've got a question. You mentioned about planes. Well, I actually got two, but my second question is for later. But about the planes.
Yeah.
How do you, if say a blind person goes on the plane and because sometimes the booking can be full. If they end up sitting at like a window seat, what's your suggestion if they want to go for a quick one in the loo?
Well, I've been sat in the middle or at a window, and knock on wood, I think I've always been able to switch. Yeah. It's, it may be, you could call it taking advantage of the situation, taking advantage of the blindness, but they're always willing to help you, probably more than they would be willing to help someone else. So whenever I go to check in at the gate, before I get on the plane, I say, I always, even if somebody brought me to the gate, I always go up and I say, I just want to make sure I'm at the right place. Nothing's changed, because I have been sitting there before, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we changed your gate. And I'm like, well, nobody told me. But I always check in and I say, I just want to make sure, am I on an aisle seat? Because sometimes I don't even book my own tickets, a company does. And so they will say, oh no, it's a window seat. And I say, okay, is it possible to switch it? Would I be able to switch it? Because this is why, these are the reasons why I prefer an aisle seat. It's just easier for everybody, honestly. And they're always pretty happy to see what they can do, or sometimes they'll get in and they'll make an announcement, would anybody mind switching for an aisle seat? And, once again, it can be kind of awkward in situations like that, but just don't sweat it.
Because last year early days, nobody might remember this, but when I first, because it was just an experiment when I did broadcast in Switzerland, because I went to Switzerland last year. I sat at the window seat and I needed to go. I mean, my parents were with me, but you know, I was I want to go for a wee, and then I accidentally bumped someone. Oops, you're on the plane.
And I've also used the call button. So whenever I sit down and I talk to the flight attendant and I say, you know, where's the bathroom, where's the stuff, all of that, I'll also say, okay, where's the lights, where's the air, you know, where's the call button, so they can show me where that is. And I've done that before. I've called them in the middle of the flight and said, I need to use the restroom. Would you mind showing me where the restroom is? And they'll walk you back there, and oftentimes they'll just wait outside for you, and then they'll take you back to your seat. So don't be afraid to do that as well.
I do have one more question. It's about, again, it's related to flights. I know about these air bridges, right? But if, say, a blind person wants to go on holiday, how can, is blind people still able to get assistance with, because you've got to be socially distanced, if you need sighted guides, how did you get around that with social distance?
You know what? I haven't traveled at all this year, so I don't know. That's a very good question. They would maybe put you in the wheelchair. They always bring the wheelchair, and I say no, I'm fine. I can walk. You know, I just need to follow you. And if I've got somebody that's been trained really well, they'll try to offer me their elbow. And you know, usually I say that's fine. I've got enough vision that I can just follow you. I just can't read signs, and I don't know where I'm going. But I guess in this situation, I would probably jump in the wheelchair so that you know, especially if I needed to hold on to somebody, probably just take the wheelchair, or maybe you'll get lucky and they'll bring up the golf cart and you can ride that.
If anyone's ever been to Euston Station in London, they have a guy that comes and he picks you up on a little vehicle, you know, and he drives you around the train station. It's great. And people try and jump on with me. I'm with him. They try and jump on with me for the ride.
Is it like because when I went to Switzerland, I had to go to Bristol. They when I did, because I had first boarding, they took me into this big minibus. It's when you go on the plane. I don't know if it's the same for you, Sam, but when you go first experience, they don't use stairs. They use these walkways. Do you get that? Because some planes they use stairs, but I had like a zigzag walkway to a plane. Did you get that?
Yeah, that's the most common here in the States is the walkway, and then every now and then you'll get the stairs, and I hate the stairs because they're always super. They're like really deep stairs. There's like you got to really lift your leg up to get up there, and if you're carrying a bag, because I carry my camera gear a lot, and then, so I don't check that. I carry it with me, and so if I'm trying to carry bags and carry a cane and hold on to the railing, it's like come on.
I mean, I do get sighted, which is good.
Wet. So I had to do that at Blackpool. Got off a plane and it was very wet. We had to walk down the steps. It's no fun.
Yeah.
Sam,
I like the walkways. I prefer
a question, Sam, about just thinking about the future. There are rumours that at some point in the UK, maybe even this year, that we will eventually see IRA in the UK. And I was just wondering what your thoughts on what IRA was. And for anybody that doesn't know, IRA is, a subscription-based service, a little bit similar concept to Be My Eyes, but you subscribe to professional help from professional advisors or site advisors who can help you, with a personal situation, or they can help you in certain environments. Like I do believe over in the US that Target that you can use IRA there for free because it's part of the IRA kind of ecosystem. So, I mean, where do you see that, and do you think that's the future? And have you used it yourself?
Yeah, I've used it at conventions. I've tested it out. Targets and also stores called Walgreens. I don't know if you guys have Walgreens, but those are available as well as free areas. And you can also do right now, unless they've changed it, the first 5 minutes of your call is always free. So you can call, and if you just need something real quick, you can call and do it for free, as long as you have the app. I'm kind of on the fence about it. For me personally, it would only be helpful if I were traveling. Once again, if I were in an airport and I could use IRA to find my gate and I wouldn't need to have somebody show me where it is.
Right.
You know, it would be very helpful for that. But I don't travel enough to warrant the subscription, the monthly subscription. So it wouldn't work for me personally. I've seen a lot of people using it, especially at conventions. You'll see people walking around holding their phones up, talking to it. And it's like, oh, they're talking to Ira right there. But then there's the debate that a lot of people have about, you know, is it taking away your independence? Is it taking away your ability to be the best independent blind person you can be? You know, if you're reliant on that person on the other end, maybe you're not working on your mobility skills. You know, you're kind of letting those slide. I don't know. That's a debate that people have. I'm, like I said, I'm kind of on the fence. I can see that debate, but then again, I'm like, you know, I'm also a big fan of asking for help. If I need help, I'm just going to ask for it. It's easier. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be interesting, and I do believe that it's going to launch in the UK this year. So it will. And just as an idea, how much does it cost over in the States? Oh gosh, they change it, and they've got so many different levels, so many tiers of service. If you're in the military, it's a certain amount. If you're, you know, a student, it's a certain amount. I really couldn't say. I think it's equivalent to a phone plan. You know, it's something similar. So it's definitely an expense to occur every single month. And when you've used it in Walgreens or you've used it in Target, you can use that for free there because I believe that they subscribe to it, so you can use it in the store basically. Yeah. If you're on the premises, you can use it, and you know, it's nice. The nice thing about it, why it excels over things like Be My Eyes, is because it's a professional. You know, they're sitting in front of a computer. They have all of your information there. They can look up maps for you. They can call transportation. They can call a Lyft ride for you, Uber, cab. You know, my friend had it for a while, and he had certain things like, well, he sent pictures of his kids to Ira so that they would have it on file, so that if he were out playing with his kids and at a playground or something, and he said, you know, I can't find my daughter, can you see if she's in that direction? And he points the phone over there. To me. They'll know what she looks like, you know. And so there's certain level, you're paying for that certain level of personalization and professionalism. That sounds familiar to me. That's what my daughter's like. She's always running off. Get back here. So I'd probably find that quite useful. But yeah, that's really, really interesting. I've got a question for you. Should we take two more questions? Should we take two more and then we'll wrap it up and let Sam do more of his YouTube videos. I have a question for you guys before we go, though. So. Oh, excellent. Okay.
I do have an invitation at the end as well, if you don't mind, Andrew. So after you do your two questions, can I, at the very end before he disappears?
Yeah. There was a gentleman that had a question.
Yeah, I can't see anything at the moment at all, and I can't see the telly, or I can't have a drink or anything. Would there be anything that could help me, like guide me, or anything from the courses that you run?
It's really for things like you just described, just everyday life. It's really your mobility skills. It's learning how to eat, how to drink, how to interact with the world without looking at it. Building up your tactile skills and all of that. There are things for navigation though, like if you need help finding your way to the store, there's things that can help with that. Really, people ask me these kind of questions, and I say the best bet is to go to a low vision center, to sit down with an AT professional, and then you can talk about your goals and your needs and what you want to accomplish, and they can work up a plan that's going to help achieve those goals. I get the question all the time. I have blank vision impairment, like I have RP. What device is going to work best for me? And I say, well, it's a lot more complicated than that. There's, it depends on what you want to use that device for. It depends on how your level of RP, it just, so I can't really just say, choose this. Okay, it's going to be the best. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Go on, Stephen. Go for it, mate.
Yeah, if obviously I go out and see a lot of people. I'm a rehab officer for visually impaired, and when we talk about iPads and technology, one of the common questions I always get asked is, "What apps do you recommend?" And I know we assess the need and everything, but I was just wondering, just across the board, across all spectrums, what would be your top 5 apps that you would?
Good question.
Great question. I like it.
Good question. Some of the apps are going to work on both systems, iOS and Android. So like KNFB Reader, I love KNFB Reader. I think it's a great app. Seeing AI, of course, is only for iOS. I just did a webinar with the Seeing AI team the other day, and I'm like, you guys got to get it on Android. All right, that's the number one question I get is, when is it coming to Android? And they were very tight-lipped about it, but hopefully someday. But on Android, you have InVision. InVision AI is a great app. It basically is Seeing AI for Android. Soundscapes on Windows on Microsoft Soundscapes on iOS is a fantastic application. That's really kind of cool. There's several navigation apps. I'm drawing a blank now. Of course, you put me on the spot. I've got a friend of mine, name is Carrie. She has a YouTube channel called Live Accessible, and she has a website also called Live Accessible, and so liveaccessible.com. And on there, we've collaborated and we've come up with this whole list of apps. So there's an Android list and an iOS list for just really helpful apps. So you could check that out.
Brilliant, that's great, Sam. Thanks. Yeah. What was the first one you said? Canon Reader. I didn't hear that.
Oh, KNFB Reader.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can do a demo of that one week on here, guys, because I've got KNFB Reader. It's a brilliant app. It's like one of the first OCR apps for your smartphone. Really, it's always been. You do pay for it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, the K stands for Kurzweil, which is OCR name. They pretty much invented OCR, I guess. But
excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I don't think it's free.
No, it is paid for. It's kind of pricey, actually. Get it when it's on sale. It goes on sale every now and then.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. You were telling about the list of apps which we can use on iOS. It's helpful. So where can we find these apps list? Could you tell us again, please?
Sure. The website is liveaccessible.com. LIVE accessible.com.
Okay.
And you'll see there's a resource page on there, and she has it all in there.
Excellent. Brilliant.
Liveaccessible.com.
Yes, liveaccessible.com.
Sounds good. It's a new one for me.
Okay, thank you so much.
We'll share that out. Sam, I'd just like to say we've kept you a little bit longer than we were going to. But I mean, what a top guy, ladies and gentlemen. Sam from The Blind Life, absolutely fantastic. And if people want to check your channel out, Sam, what's the easiest way for them to do it?
Well, like you said, you can just Google The Blind Life, and I will pop up the first thing. Or if you want to go to YouTube, it's youtube.com/TheBlindLife. And I had a question actually real quick for you guys. So I mentioned, and Andrew, you and I talked about this last time, but I mentioned that I actually have a part-time job, and that is I work for the Blind Shell company.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so the Blind Shell accessible mobile phone. So I wanted to see if you guys liked it, if you had any feedback real quickly. I know we're running short on time, but if you guys have ever used it or know anything about it.
Used what? Sorry.
I've recently just bought the Blind Shell.
Oh, there we go.
I'm Mahmood. And I will say, Sam, that actually when I was waiting for it to arrive, the day before I actually watched your videos on the Blind Shell, and that really helped me a lot.
Blind Shell.
Massively.
Blind Shell or Blind?
Blind Shell, SHELL. And I should mention that on the Blind Shell YouTube channel, if anybody has the phone or want to learn exactly what it does, I've been putting out tons of tutorial videos on the YouTube channel for Blind Shell, and how to make a phone call, how to send a text message, how to use the voice calling, just all kinds of things. So lots of information there too.
Those videos are absolutely brilliant because I got a CD with my phone, but I didn't even bother listening to the CD. I just watched your videos, and to be honest, it made sense straight away. You know?
Well, is it an app or a device, or you've completely lost it?
That's okay. Blind Shell is an accessible mobile phone for the visually impaired. So it has physical buttons. It's the old school style, kind of like the old Nokias. And it doesn't have a touch screen, but it is a smartphone. So it has voice calling, voice controls. I could say, set an alarm and it will do that for me. But it has large print and a screen reader that reads out everything on the phone. So it's a much more accessible phone.
Excellent. Yeah, it's really good. We've got one at Galloways, and we do demonstrate it a lot, and it's really good for people.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Not so maybe with a smartphone, and they want something a bit easier to use. It's got some nice kind of bells and whistles to the phone as well. Some nice things that they've kind of put in there as well. I really like the labels that you can scan. Actually, they're quite cool as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, some really, really good stuff. And yeah, if anyone wants a demonstration of that, we can definitely do that in one of our future sessions. Or maybe I'm on the spot now. If someone doesn't want to talk about the blind chat,
no, it's all right.
You could do that sometime. But yeah, absolutely, been brilliant, Sam, having you join us. And thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And we'll stay in touch and we'll get you back on here sometime, Sam, in the future. It'd be great to have you again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. A lot of fun.
Thank you, Sam.
Brilliant stuff.
Galloways, support through sight loss.